Good morning and welcome to PFY Live, where we share hope, encouragement, and some ministry tips for you in the youth ministry world. I'm Amy Cummings, Executive Director with Partnership for Youth. So excited to be here with you today on this Wednesday morning. And our guest today is Michael Hoffmann from Texas. Woohoo! Mike and I have been friends for a good number of years. I got to know him through doing youth ministry work here in the Archdiocese of St. Paul, Minneapolis. He would come and give presentations at Net Ministries to youth ministers at the gathering there monthly. And so he does great work in speaking in the corporate world, speaking to Fortune 500 companies, giving keynotes and workshops, and helping to ignite staff and employees. And so he does some of that for the church as well, which he loves to do, sharing his faith that way. So I'm excited to have Michael with me this morning. Good morning.
Hi, Amy. Hello, everybody.
Welcome. Okay, first of all, we got to talk about what's your choice of coffee this morning? What do you got?
This morning I happen to have, I don't know, get a good shot of it. I have this is what we call our Christmas mocha. It's the famous Christmas mocha. It's delicious.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I got my Santa cup, but okay, what's in your oh my gosh. What's in your mocha?
Dip.
What is in your mocha that makes it so great?
It's fantastic. I didn't bring a wipe with me. I'm so sorry. Off screen.
Oh my gosh, folks, we're gonna have some fun. Okay, so you give us the coffee and make.
This is our holiday treat. Happens every year. It's coffee, a lot of coffee, big mug, usually soup bowl, but big coffee, hot chocolate, cinnamon and nutmeg. That gives it the Christmas whipped cream and Jimmy's. You got to put the sprinkles on it. It's like Christmas in a glass. And then you put the peppermint creamer in it. You know.
Yeah.
Oh my
gosh.
A million calories right there.
That's awesome. I don't know if I would only drink it at Christmas time. I might make it throughout the whole year.
Well, I actually do. This is my go-to. It's the best. I just bring a different glass out for the coffee.
You just change your mug up. That's awesome. Oh my gosh. Oh, fantastic. So, we've been doing a lot of Zoom, right? Everybody's been doing Zoom or virtual meetings and virtual this, virtual that. I got to hear from you. What is your funniest Zoom story?
Well, because it's gone this way, everybody's on board. What was fun with I guess I've got quite a few of them. Just and the funny means that basically that technology is not your friend, So and it's usually I had a screenshot that was frozen for about 15 minutes as I was frantically trying to figure out. In the beginning of it, everybody gets on board and everybody's on Zoom. But you can't buy a cord anywhere. Everything's sold out, so you got to use what you got. So everything's taped together, and I had a screenshot that was like it was frozen. No joke. It was like for most of my presentation, and I had more comments about what was up my nose for the entire program. That's one of my favorite ones, just because of the sheer joy. Nobody knows what we said. Nobody even cares, but we howled at the comments. From there, so everybody, and it wasn't just mine. Everybody's afraid. As soon as you started to talk, you froze, and then the comments started. So, some of my best work is got nothing to do with everything. Kind of like today, Amy.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. I have several too, but just the other day, I'm in here having a meeting with our production company, and Eddie, who's 4.5, comes in. He's supposed to be watching a movie, but he knows mom's on a Zoom call. So he comes in, climbs in the back of my chair. So he's standing behind me and I'm trying to go back and forth, trying to get his face on it. And finally the production company we're sure you're probably irritated, but we are delighted.
That's good. That's good television right there.
I know, right? We're getting to know people's families. I mean, this is just life. Oh my gosh, that's funny. And I'm sure everyone has a funny, embarrassing Zoom story, and they're going to be that's good content there for presentations.
It's true. I can't wait. Hopefully we'll get each other, face to face again one day. But those are my favorites. I'm actually collecting videos, so I would love to see that video. I'm gonna look in your history, because some of my favorites are of the people trying to block the kids' faces. The unique individual. Wherever their cup is moving to block the child in the back. That makes me smile.
Oh my gosh.
I love that stuff.
Okay, I have to tell people too, just one other famous thing about you is you and your daughter do these dance videos and they go viral. So tell us a little bit about that, and where, if you haven't seen it, I can't believe you haven't seen it, but if you haven't, where can they find your dance videos?
It's so stupid. It's I apologize for saying stupid, but it's so stupid. Well, it's so wonderful. Actually, it's just the best. My daughter and I, back in 2000, it was 5 years ago, so 2015, we had an ice day. Actually, it was a weekend. We were literally in Dallas. We don't do hard water. We don't. So our nearest snowplow's in Denver. So we don't. When we get ice, we're locked in, and we were shut in the house for 4 days. So it was our pre-COVID, I guess. And by day 4 or 3, my daughter Allie, who was 24 at the time, was going nuts, and she said, "What do you want to do?" I said, "I don't know. What do you want to do?" She goes, "Let's make a video." I said, "Okay." So we put up the iPad in the kitchen and we just danced to Uptown Funk, which had just come out. And we put it out there. We called it the Ice Day Challenge. So if you're going to look it up on YouTube, look up Ice Day Challenge. And that was our first one, and it went viral. And the definition of viral is 5 million views in 7 days. And it was crazy. We lost a week of our life just going refresh, refresh. At one time, it was 1 million views every 3 hours. It was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, we got on a show, and we did some interviews. It was a lot of fun. Well, we called it Ice Day Challenge because we just did it to put it out there and say, hey, this is what we're doing. We're having some fun. What do you guys do? It's our challenge to you. Step up to our family and friends and relatives. And it went viral. Well, 5 years later at COVID, my daughter says, hey, we need to do another one. So at the beginning of our lock-in with COVID, we did one called, I think it was Quarantine Challenge 2020, I think it is. But it's on our YouTube page, Allie and Mike Hoffman, I believe it's called. And that did, well, it's over 200 million views in less than 6 months. And it's been viral in 12 countries. We've been interviewed all over the world. We've been on a couple of shows. Cedric the Entertainer did a show called Best, Videos of Quarantine, and we were on there all over the way. He made a lot of fun of me. Yeah, we're going to be in a documentary next year. They're doing a documentary on how people handled COVID. We're in that. It's just awesomely fun. And if you look at the video, you go, wow, he's talented.
I love where your wife makes a little cameo appearance too.
Yes, that's the best part of the whole video.
That's awesome. And then you just did one a couple weeks ago.
And we just did another one. We did another one. We were hoping was the end of COVID, but it's not. But we did another one, a 5-month follow-up. And that, I think, did 100,000 views in a day. It's just wonderful, crazy. We get notes. I get notes all over the world every day from people just saying how much they like it. And it reminds me, speaking of what we're here for, it reminds me of influence. I actually use it in my leadership talks, and I use it in my talks about influence, because I start off the video and I tell them the story, and then it ends with the idea of, I get asked all the time, how long did it take you to make the video? And my answer is 24 years. My wife and I worked hard in creating a culture with my daughter and the rest of my family to let loose and to have fun and to get it out there, and she knows that I'll back her up, and I know that if she's going, I'm going with her, so but culture is created, and our influence is on purpose when we take it like that. And I think it's absolutely wonderful. And so that those videos have allowed us to really share a message of joy. And so when we get the comments, they fall into 2 categories. Either I wish I had, which it makes me sad to hear those comments, but I read them all every day. I wish I had a family like that. I wish my father, I wish my daughter, my children were blah, 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 which makes me pray for them hard, And the other one is, you remind me of. Those are
Oh,
the two camps. And it's like, wow, how important is this?
yeah. Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. That's awesome. And you're right. By the influence we have, we really don't even know, right? We don't know the power of our influence.
yeah.
And I think that's so important for us to recognize and just bringing joy. I mean, this has not been a very joyful season for a lot of people. And so it's hard. I mean, it really, I think so. Just acknowledge that it's hard. And here we are in the season of Advent, leading up to what for most people is a very joyous season, right? And we're still in the pandemic and closed down and shutdowns in a lot of states. Um, in this season, beautiful season of Advent, which is one of my favorites, how do we build traditions on purpose? What kind of traditions, what does your family look like related to traditions for Advent? And what does, Advent mean for you?
Well, Advent, like Lent, is a preparatory phase. I think Advent is we approach it with an attitude of hope. I mean, that's what
Mhm.
Advent is I'm in preparation for the coming. There's a hope for the coming of Christ, whether it's in my own life or whether it's just the season or whether it's the second coming, but and all those things that Advent is, but we approach it with hope. And I'm a real big believer, just in the stories that we were talking about, that for those of us that are really called, which is you as a baptized believer, you've been called, which means you, all you people who are,
Mhm.
that we have more influence than we realize. And so the more we do things on purpose or with purpose, especially when it's through joy and it's through love, there will always be hope. So in my family, Advent is filled with on purpose traditions. This is one of them, actually. These mugs. Allie knows that Christmas is here when the mugs come out. She's like, "Oh, it started! I can't believe it! The mugs are up." That is not insignificant.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, as parents, my wife and I would do things on purpose when the kids were little because we anchor holidays, we anchor ideas, we anchor traditions in things. I
Mhm.
think as Americans we don't get the longevity of traditions as much as we should because we need to set things apart. Christmas is set apart.
Mhm.
Our feast days, Easter, and all those things are set apart for a reason. My son got married last week. And one of the biggest things that we got to share with the entire crowd was to answer the question was, why do we make this day so special? Because it's a special day. We're creating a covenant. Well, the holidays are the same way. So these traditions are not just, it's a snowman. It's the entire anticipation of what's going on. And to specifically with Christ, just this happened just yesterday. And my little granddaughter who's staying with us right now, or over at the house right now, I'm surprised you haven't heard from her. Um, yesterday we were talking about the nativity scene and I'm asking her, so who's who? And so she's pointing at everybody and she's like, where's baby Jesus? I go, I don't know. Where's baby Jesus? And she's looking all around for baby Jesus. I go, well, baby Jesus isn't born yet. Baby Jesus is in Mama Mary. Mama Mary's carrying baby Jesus. She's not born yet. And so we have a lot of fun with that. And this morning I heard her telling Michelle that baby Jesus is with Mother Mary. He's not born yet because Christmas is the celebration of the birth of Christ. And
Mhm.
so it's those little things that you do that the kids, they get it. It's like different than just another day where we get to unwrap presents.
Right, right. And so easy to bring in the Christmas story, right? To teach lessons without even really teaching, right? Sharing stories, answering questions. And I love having little ones in the house because,
Oh, yeah.
the questions they ask, the innocence that they have, the joy that they have, the inquisitiveness, and how they play with all the little nativity figures and all of the little ornaments on the tree. I mean, all of those things, which are just, and you just see it through new eyes, when they're little. And I think that's what helps us as adults to stay grounded and anchored too, right? To the holiday, to the celebration, to the feast.
Yeah. You know what? It's not just the kids either, right? It is the adults. I mean, it really is the adults. And I think adults have to be reminded more than anybody else sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I like about this little silly thing is that, especially like with the whipped cream, is because people love this. So they go, "Oh my God, I want one!" So we sometimes we have when we have a couple adults, who's going to go first, especially if I'm making them. So they have to answer a question. And the reason why we started this, so we do a little Christmas quiz. All right, you can get extra whipped cream if you can answer this question. So we make a game show. But we started doing that a couple of years ago because we heard one of my nephews kind of asking questions like, or actually making statements. And one of his statements was, so when Jesus baptized John the Baptist, what, blah, 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 and we're like, what? So, so sometimes we think that just because we're grown, we know our faith. Yeah. And so we kind of took that as a catalyst to that's what the holidays are all about. It's like bringing fun and getting things on the table and starting conversations and use it as an excuse on purpose.
And I think that too can be a challenging time for people, right? When family are getting together, and it can also be stressful. And, maybe not all families are in tune to their faith, like you said, know their faith, or even faith-filled people at all. And so I love making it a little bit lighter, that it's not so theological and not so
You get into those too, but it's you have to balance it out. Otherwise they avoid you like the plague.
Right. And what Christ followers should be joyful, right?
Well, one of my favorite stories about Mother Teresa, I don't know where I heard it, but somebody once said that when people would come up and ask her about the faith, her favorite response, not that she said this every time, but her favorite response was, go ask a priest. That was her favorite response, was you need to go talk to a priest. But right now I need you to help me lift this. So it was like, you know what? I'm going to show you my faith through my actions and my love. And not that I can't sit down and have a theological discussion with you, which is really great. Matter of fact, I hope we open the doors.
Yeah.
I challenge my family members all the time with it. But I know that for some of them, I'm not the guy.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not the guy. So we pray for those people to step into their lives. Yeah.
And I think that's true too. I know that I often think of that, like for some family members that, have veered off the path a little bit. I'm like, you know what? I need to stay in relationship with them, but I might not be the person who will journey with them to bring them back. Right. And like you said, to pray for them to be open when that friend or, coworker, whoever it is, can really inspire them and bring them back to the faith. Because sometimes we're too close to it, right? We just are too close to it.
Yeah. And you know what I find, and this is just from personal experience, because, we're all on our own walk. I thank God life projects, St. Catherine of Siena, in her book, The Dialogue, said something that just actually really encourages me when she says one of the greatest graces that we have, I'm paraphrasing, one of the greatest graces that God has given us is the grace of time. Because you don't want to be called home right now. So he gives us time to figure these things out and to walk this walk. So we're all on our walk until he calls me home. I am constantly, he is the hound of heaven. So that encourages me that I don't have to necessarily be the one, because I know they don't hear it from me. So they have to see it from me.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I love about my wife and my daughter, and I hope but I really see their influence, is that they are solid in why they believe what they believe. And y'all are great. I'm going to church on Sunday. So if you're not coming, and by the way, you're invited every time.
Yeah.
But I'm going. I'm not going to miss it. And if anybody needs something for me to pray for, tell me now, because I'm about to walk out the door. Who's coming? And they're not loud about it, but what it is it's a witness of somebody living their faith through the rite of the Catholic Church, and that is very, very, dare I may say, sexy.
Very true.
And especially those two people, you see their joy, and it makes you want to know where that joy is coming from. And when they live their faith through that rite, going to mass, making sure you get to reconciliation. You want to drop a fun bomb at a dinner party, say this: hey, listen, I'm going to be back in a half hour. I'm running to reconciliation down the road. So anybody want to come? If not, I'll be back in a half an hour. You watch where people go.
Squirming in the seat happens.
Maybe I should go.
Right.
And the answer is maybe you should.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Let me just come and tag along with me, right? To kind of piggyback off of your thought on that we have time. I was talking to someone who was in charge of beatification of a saint. I don't remember the priest's name, but he said that when they look at a person's life in preparation or in evaluating for canonization or making them venerable, they really focus on your last 10 years of your life. And I thought to myself, wow. I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. Let me tell you what set this up. Right? We talked about forgiveness.
Amen.
Here's what I've learned. Well, let me throw this in real quick. Yeah. My son and I were talking. He got married, so we had a chance to talk a lot in the preparation year about deep things. And, we talked about history, and we talked about choices and where I've come from in my walk. And he threw something at me as far as hypocrisy, because I was holding up a standard that said this is important. And he threw up, just any type of youth thing. Well, you were young once. And I said, absolutely. He goes, that's hypocritical. I go, no. There's a difference between wisdom and hypocrisy. Yeah. Hypocrisy is me doing those things now while telling you not to. Wisdom is I've lived through a few things and I have some lessons to share with you. So there's a much different approach. So, and not that I've done everything at all, but I can watch, yeah. I can glean. I'm a smart guy. God shows me, he goes, you don't have to live through that. You can learn from that.
Right.
So there's a difference between hypocrisy and wisdom. So over the years, we've grown wise.
I love that. Well, still staying in the Advent theme, of course, you, I'm sure, heard that our Holy Father dedicated the next year to Saint Joseph. And I know, right? Tell us a little bit about your devotion to Saint Joseph.
I love, Saint Joseph has always been a real strength for me. I like Joseph. I as a speaker, I make my living with my mouth. And I have too many words. My children will tell you I have too many words. And I have to really focus on it. I focus on my loudness. I focus on my, delivery and my words, because I just too much sometimes. And so Joseph has always been my counterbalance, because I look at all the things that Joseph said in the Bible and all the words that he said. And I really learned from that, because Joseph said nothing. Nothing. That's Joseph's quote. Yeah. So Joseph did a lot of this. What? And he was a worker. He got it. He didn't have to be told twice. And so I've always loved Joseph. He's been my counterbalance in living the faith as well as talking the faith, or not saying the words. And I also love Joseph because he's the terror of demons is one of his titles. He is the defender of the family. He is the patriarch of the family. Joseph is all the things that I want to be. And so I've always loved Joseph. I named my son Joseph after Joseph. My confirmation name is, Michael David Joseph, and my son's name is Joseph Michael David. Yeah. So I'm a big fan of Joseph, especially now. I know that when one of the apparitions, I know one of the things that Mother Mary would say is that, one of the greatest battles, if not the last battle, is on the family. And that's always kind of stuck with me ever since I was little, was the defense of the family, the importance of the family, the feeding of the family, the on purposeness of the family. And Joseph is behind all of that. So
right. Couldn't have been a better time to call on Saint Joseph's protection and intercession for the church, and the powerful example he is for family life, and he too, just as a worker, right? As you mentioned, and I think for youth ministers listening too, like, what a great patron for their work as well in the church, and to look to him, and to consecrate their youth group, consecrate their own lives to Saint Joseph too in the process of this year. So it'd be a good something good to think about. I know that I love your shirt. Okay, I want to talk about your shirt a second. So #love louder. Where's that come from? I'm sure there's a story, because knowing you, Mike, there's a story.
Love Louder was something that I started really kind of pushing and throwing into all of my talks, and really kind of really, I find it very, very important, especially in these days. You talk about these days. I think Joseph's a great example of loving louder. It kind of started with me when a bunch of years ago, I think it was during Ferguson, the craziness that we had with a lot of the protests and the riots, and we had some protests in actually a protest downtown Dallas. I was to speak at the Dallas to the city of Dallas the next day, but there was a protest that night, and there was a disturbed young man who took a rifle up on a parking lot and basically started shooting police officers, and he shot 5 lost their lives that day, including his. So it was a tragic day. And I had lost it. I was done. I was in my. I remember the emotions that night, and in my room, I'm done. I'm not talking to people anymore. I'm done with people. I just wanted to bring my family together and lock up the doors, and just, we're not even going out anymore. This is it. It's over. Good run, everybody. It's over. And I had a vision that night, and the vision was Satan laughing hysterically at me, at how my reaction was, and how it was that easy to get me to crawl up in a fetal position and to go away and go into a corner and to use all of the angst of the world to justify my non-activity and my self-focus. And so it was very, very clear that night that my response was, what do I do? What do we do? What do we do with this? And the answer was very clear, was love louder. The world is very loud these days. It's crazy. Yeah. So what is the only way to make things right or better or move things forward? And that's love. There is nothing, there is no argument. There is no process. There is no law. There is no nothing. Nothing will fix this except love. And so it is called on all of us to be people of faith, to love louder than the noise. It is not time to be a silent faith person. It is not time to be a quiet Catholic. And I'm not saying, the pledge pin. I'm talking about Christ. I'm talking about love. I'm talking about visceral joy. I'm talking about getting in there and going, there's a better way.
Absolutely. Yeah. Get out from under the bushel basket, and right. And I love the love louder, because it really is, this is who you are. Like, when you are on stage, you are like a tornado. I mean, like, you you really, you're exciting. You engage people. It's a real gift. It's an absolute gift that the Lord has given you, and spreading joy and love too. Like, that is really, when I think about you, that's what I think about. Just joy, love, on fire, just, and I guess I've listened to you a lot. And so you use that word, on purpose. And I think everything we do, right, we need to think about doing it on purpose. It's not by chance that each one of us are living in this time.
I think that's exactly right. My daughter and I get a chance to speak together every once in a while. My daughter Allie is an up and coming speaker. Actually, she's probably working more than me, but which is really great. I love it, because she focuses on faith. I've worked in the corporate world for 25 years, and I get to share my faith whenever I can. She is a faith speaker, and we get a chance to do father-daughter stuff a lot, which it's my favorite. I'll do that for the rest of my life if I can. But one of the messages is that, my favorite joke is, what do St. Peter and St. Andrew and St. Francis and Mother Teresa and St. Catherine and John Paul II, what do they all have in common? They're dead, which means that this is our time. God had them in their time, and that's what God does. You can see it in our history, that he rises the capital S saints, what I call big S saints. We're all called to be saints in our baptism. We're all small S saints through our baptism, but we're called to be holy. We're called to be big S saints. I want to be a big S saint. And all those people were born for their time. Yeah. You, my friend, have been born for this time. We're the big S saints now. It makes me emotional,
It is, right?
Yeah.
To be working in collaboration with our Lord in this time, and he has given each of us a specific thing that he wants us to do in this time, and only we can do it, right? And we just have to listen to that.
That's right. Be bold.
People, right? That absolutely, absolutely. I know we're going to have you back in January, and to kick off our new year in ministry. What can we look forward to?
Well, let's talk about ministry. Let's talk about purposefulness. Let's talk about setting up your year. I mean, if anything, 2020 has shown us that anything can happen. And the more we start to get comfortable with that, here's a tip. It's never been any different. We've always been in change. We've always had to deal with things. It's just that we're doing it on a global, everybody at once, and so it's very visceral. But the fact is that life has never been the same. I mean, think of your last 5 years, your last 10 years, especially in the ministry. So we're going to talk about setting up us as ministers to be more effective and more on purpose. So from now until then, be thinking about the joy of the holiday, but also about the things that you do on purpose to not only celebrate this time, but also what about the ministry? What's coming up next year? And we're going to talk about how to put that together in a way that you can really knock it out of the park next year.
Great. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to that next segment. If people want to reach out to you, Mike, to connect with you both on the corporate side or on ministry, to do something for them, and where can they reach you?
They can reach me at michael@ignitingperformance.com. And or my website is ignitingperformance.com. I also let me throw this in just for fun, because this is not official, but it might be, who knows. But somebody asked me about this shirt. I wore this shirt in our last dance video, and somebody from, I think it was Belgium, called me up and said, "Hey, can I buy that shirt?" And I'm like, yeah. So if you want a shirt, email me at michael@ignitingperformance.com. Send me a question. I love dialogue. So if you've got a question about ministry or faith, family, send me a note.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Mike, for being with us today, and just wishing you and your family a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And I know we'll be chatting in the beginning of the new year. So thank you for being with us.
You're very welcome. Amy, you do amazing work, and everybody working in the backgrounds and everything. You guys do such a great job. Keep up the good work. Keep being big S saints, because I think you are. It's not official yet, but I'll try to make it that way. And Happy New Year. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Everybody join us next week. God bless. Happy third week of Lent. Advent. Oh my gosh. I skipped right ahead. Thank you. Bye.